Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be talking about a classic Medieval for the PS1 that I hear shaped a lot of childhoods, but not mine. Not really sure how it didn't, honestly. I would have loved this one as a kid. We did play the original PS1 version on the channel. There is a remaster, however, but I like playing the OG first. Maybe one day, since I like this one so much, I'll check out the remaster. I don't know. But it definitely gives off very good spooky vibes. I could see myself throwing it in the rotation in the future for playing around Halloween, and it's kind of like got a quirky, goofy charm to it. Not too serious, fun to explore the world, has character, all that stuff. And if you're a fan of like Tim Burton-esque worlds, I would say that you will like this one, because that's what I was reminded of the entire time. Your character Dan just reminded me of Jack Skellington the whole time. But I'm gonna just talk about my experience with it, the story, what I liked about it, a few caveats I think, and stay tuned for some more spooky games I'm playing during the season. Don't forget to like the video if you do like it. Get this video out to some more people. Alright, first up, the story. It's set in the fictional kingdom of Gallowmere. It's like a medieval land filled with knights and sorcerers, and apparently all types of undead horrors. And you are one of those undead in this. You are Sir Daniel Fortescue, known as Sir Dan, or just Dan as I called him. Now he's known as a legend, but he's kind of a fraud. The legend has it that he led the king's army to victory against the evil sorcerer Zarok in the Battle of Gallowmere. But the twist to that is that Sir Dan actually died in the first few seconds of the battle by taking an arrow right to the eye. And then for some reason, he got lucky, and the king covered the story up to boost the morale of the town, saying he was actually the hero. But Zarok actually went into hiding, and 100 years later, he reappears and casts a spell over Gallowmere, plunging it into an eternal night and raising the dead again. But because Dan was also dead, he is raised in this process, and he takes it upon himself to actually beat Zarok as an undead, so he can take his rightful place as a hero. And that's the gist of the game. So you've been risen, and you make your way across the land until you finally get to Zarok. And Zarok's kind of this like flamboyant sorcerer, kind of like, I guess, like a flair for the dramatic. And it's cool how they do Sir Dan. He's this voiceless protagonist, and he just kind of communicates through grunts and gestures, and kind of adds to the comedy, because you feel like, especially to some of the heroes in the Hall of Heroes, you feel like he wants to like smack back at them, because kind of some of them are like insulting him in a way because he's a fraud, but he can't because he lost his jaw. So just done in a cool way, and the goofiness of the story kind of like fits with the goofiness of how the characters, the enemies move, how Dan just runs and bebops around. It's just a light feeling game overall for the most part. It's just a good, fun Halloween vibe.
What? Call me Mr. Woden the Mighty. How I pity the people of Gallowmere, that their fate should once again be in the hands of a chump like you. Still, I suppose it's not fair to take it out on them. Take my sword, and do try not to stab yourself in the foot. You know, I've always had my doubts about you, Fortescue. You're just not carved from hero material.
It's essentially just a redemption arc for Mr. Fortescue. You're gonna be going through graveyards, haunted towns, some forests, and honestly even some weirder places. Across those levels, those different lands, the main goal of each one is to collect a chalice, which can be found somewhere in the level. It's translucent until you have enough souls to fill it up, and then you can actually collect it. You get souls just by running around and slaying things. And then when you get the chalice for that level, when you finish the level, you'll get access to the Hall of Heroes, which is where you're trying to set up camp by becoming a hero. And I kind of took it as like an afterlife VIP lounge where the legendary warriors are sitting around, and they'll basically give you an upgrade for every chalice you collect and give you some advice. And that's kind of how you move through. Do a level, try and collect a chalice, Hall of Heroes, back to the map, next level, and kind of keep going. I actually did have to do some backtracking where I had to go get an item and come back to unlock part of a different area. And that was pretty shocking to me. So take this as a grain of salt because I've only played about 70% of Ocarina of Time, and it's the only Zelda game I've played. But it kind of reminded me of, like, some parts at least, Zelda Light. You have some puzzles, a little bit of, like I said, they're not as in-depth as the dungeons in Ocarina of Time, but there are little parts where you have to figure things out like that. Honestly, without chat, I might have had to look a part or two up. Some of them stumped me. The levels really do have a lot of variety. It's not just running through and slashing. There's, like I said, I don't want to spoil everything in case you want to play the game, but a lot of different types of gameplay coming at you. The fighting will always be the main thing, but there's going to be different things you have to do along the way. Speaking of the fighting, you get lots of different weapons to choose from as you go throughout the game, and you have a shield. Personally, I didn't even really use the shield at all. Kind of just decided to go at it. I would use my dash and everything and zoom around the map and get him some slashes in. The hammer is the way to go, though. For some reason, that thing does a lot of damage. That's my little advice, especially early on. All right, so what I enjoyed the most about Medieval would have to just be the overall atmosphere, the feel, the art style. It just nails the Halloween aesthetic. From the moment you boot it up, you're immersed into it. You're right in a graveyard. The color palette is like greens and oranges and purples, foggy landscapes, jack-o'-lanterns. Sir Dan, like I said, reminds me of Jack Skellington, like lanky, awkward look to him. And the enemies are quite diverse as well, ranging from zombies to pumpkin-headed farmers, imps. Like I said, it's just like Nightmare Before Christmas, medieval fantasy on the PlayStation. Now, I don't know what it looks like in the remaster yet. I don't like to look a lot of stuff up on games that I plan on playing, but I really like the dark black void backdrop in this game. Instead of having a background environment, it just added to it. Really, sometimes less is more, you know? Just added to the Halloween grim vibe to it. I don't know. I just enjoyed it. It somehow made it feel more like a Halloween game, if that makes sense. Just embracing that less is more can sometimes pay off. You know, I could see some people think it's like a limitation to not have that detailed horizon or skies. Probably because it was a limitation of the PS1 hardware, but I just think it works, and I wouldn't really want it changed, I guess. Which, speaking of not wanting it to be changed in the remaster, should probably talk about the only thing that I would say I would like an update is the camera and the movement in general. The hardest thing I had was when you have to use finesse and walk over narrow areas in the walking mode. Sometimes I would forget to turn that on and just go flying off the cliff. Like we always say around here, it's kind of to be expected with these older games. The cameras were always just a little janky. Second thing that I really like and kind of previously touched on is the level variety and the distinct feel of each level, both visually and with the gameplay tweaks, like I mentioned, whether that be platforming challenges, boss fights, environmental puzzles, riddles to solve. It really is all types of different things, and I really enjoy when you have a game like this that's a bunch of different levels, and you can look back and independently remember very easily every single level, because sometimes they blend together. I think that means it was designed well, where you can recall each level by their name. It just prevents you from getting to that repetitive feel. It does another thing that old games did so well, is making you explore all nooks and crannies of the maps, because like I said, you gotta get souls for the chalices, you'll have to do things like find rune stones to unlock different parts of the level. So if you're a completionist, you're probably going to have, and you want all the chalices, you're probably going to have to really, you know, scour the level to get everything you need. And I like that. I like when a game, you know, makes you stop and take in the scenery a little bit. Do a little bit exploring. And all this is pretty accessible for a casual playthrough. I think it only took me somewhere between 8 and 10 hours. But I'm pretty bad, so maybe 8 hours is the better judgment there. And a good, tight experience that you can get through on a weekend and definitely doesn't overstay its welcome. But all in all, Medieval is really a Halloween gem. It just feels like 90s PlayStation. It just, I see why it's so beloved now. Spooky, funny, and weird. It's not the deepest game, but it shines through with its atmosphere, the surprises, the goofy characters, and the memorable levels. If you haven't played it, I suggest giving it a try. It is on the PlayStation Classics catalog. If you did play this game and you're kind of just watching to get taken back for the gameplay footage or listening to me ramble, what's your favorite memory with it? What do you think of the game overall? I look forward to hearing from everyone in the comments. I try and read and respond to every one of you. Make sure you subscribe for more videos like this and other type of stuff. Do a lot of types of videos around here. Take care. See you later. Peace.